Hi yogis, this is a conversation about supine poses which you will put at the end of your practices. Supine poses they're like a physical cool down, they are an emotional integration of anything that came up during the practice, and they are preparation for Shavasana. So make sure that you give them equal amount of attention as you do all of the other poses in the practice, all of the other parts of the sequence. They're just as important. It's important to practice these passive inversions. They can also be hip openers or reclined twists, and they give a chance for your mind, the monkey mind, to settle down, finally prepare for Shavasana, and to relax any physical tension that was created during the practice. And then they also give a chance for students to abandon the ego, any frustration or celebration that they experienced with either doing or not doing a pose, by relaxing and lying down and being fully supported by props or by the mat. You can abandon that ego, abandon that celebration and frustration or frustration that you felt while you're doing your physical practice. Use props or don't, but do use silence for the supine poses part of your sequence. So Matsyasana and Supta Kapotasana are the two that I'm going to demonstrate. Matsyasana is fish pose, and in some of the old texts it translates to destroyer of disease. So it's this powerful pose. It's usually done after shoulder stand, but it's also incorporated in a lot of restorative practices or more gentle practices with lots of props. So I will show you the most challenging version, and then I'll show you the propped version. So your hands are coming underneath your bum. Matsyasana, fish pose. Toes are pointed. You're stretching across the front of your chest, your front body, making space to breathe. Take a couple deep breaths. You can add on a more advanced version if you still have even more energy. So you are supported by the mat, but you can make it a bit more difficult if you want. If that's your choice, release your hands from underneath your bum. Pick your legs up. Press your palms together above your belly. Hold here. Point your toes. Breathe deeply. And then lower down. If you're going to go for it, stay for a little bit longer than you want to. Exhale, come down onto the mat after that really challenging version of Matsyasana. So the other way to do Matsyasana is to be fully supported by something. I have a bunch of props here to set this up. A bolster. So the point of Matsyasana, you notice that there was a back bend. So I have a bolster here to support the back bend. And I'm going to make a little support for my head. So my head's going to go here, very firm pillow. And then I'm going to make a little support for my hips with this blanket. So it's kind of like a 3-ledge descending waterfall to support fish pose. Sit your bum down. Same thing, point your toes. Turn your palms up to the ceiling. You do always have the option to slide your hands underneath, and your elbows can still be underneath you, creating a little back bend. So if this isn't quite enough, you can take away the prop, and then your head will fall off the back of the prop. Supported fish pose. I think I could just stay here for the rest of the day. You do these supine poses with the intention of cooling down your physical body after the practice and making your last effort at slowing down the monkey mind. Or as one of my yoga teacher training students said, slowing down the hamster on the wheel. You're preparing yourself for Shavasana, and to ease the transition from a vigorous physical practice to Shavasana, you slow the practice down with these supine poses sequenced towards the end of your practice. So there's lots of supine poses that you can include. Definitely include your favorites. I'm going to show you two, so one other. Supta Kapotasana, reclined pigeon pose is the other one. We'll start without the props. Get rid of those. Lie down. You probably know this one from the gym. If you go to the gym, this is always a favorite stretch because it feels so good on the outside of your hip, on your outer hip. That's it. Supta Kapotasana, reclined pigeon pose, also called figure four legs. So, as always, you have options. You can set up a little ledge for this lifted heel. I'm going to put 2 blocks down there. Rest one foot on that ledge, and then that frees up the pressure from this foot just dangling down in space, hanging in space. And then you could put one hand on your knee and gently press your knee away from you to deepen the stretch. And then switch sides, set up your blocks on the other side for the supported version. Right ankle over left. And if this is too much, so sometimes this is too intense, you can hold on to the inside of this thigh, of your left thigh, and you can cross your knee, your one ankle over the other ankle. You can also rest both those feet on the blocks. Turn your palms up. Definitely practice as many supported versions of these poses as you can so that you have options to offer students. And also take note of what people set up for themselves. Everybody has a different story attached to their body. Everyone has been through a different set of circumstances, and people will come up with really innovative ways to use yoga props to set themselves up. So you offer the shape and then take note of how people set up in these poses. This was Supta Kapotasana, reclined pigeon pose. And come on up to sit. Even lying down for a moment is always such a blissful experience. That's why it's so important to pay equal attention to these reclined poses at the end of your practice as you do to any of the other parts of the practice, to the standing poses, the inversions, the back bends, the meditation, the seated poses, the whole thing. The whole thing is it's a process, and no part is more important than any other part. So when you're sequencing a class, you arrange all these different types of poses and make sure that each one gets equal attention in your practices. Namaste, yogis. Thank you for practicing with me. Until we meet again.